What is up, everyone? Welcome back to the Windy City MMA YouTube channel. I am Jordan. Unfortunately, Lewis could not make it today, so it is just me giving the UFC Vancouver Fight Night De Ridder versus Allen breakdown. We will start at the bottom as usual for our fight card opener of Melissa Croden versus Tainara Lisboa. Melissa Croden is 6-2. She is making her UFC debut. Most recently fought on LFA, where she went 2-1, and she's on a two-fight win streak there. Um, she is the slight underdog at about even money, maybe plus 105, and goes up against Tainara Lisboa. Lisboa is 7-3. She is 2-1 in the UFC, most recently coming off a submission loss to Luana Santos. Tainara Lisboa is the slight favorite at about minus 120 here. Not crazy about this fight. Per usual, women's MMA making her UFC debut, but I'm going to take Croden. She's making her debut, but she's a Canadian girl from Calgary, hometown girl. Um, I think obviously it'll most likely go to a decision, but I'm going to take Croden to get that decision win. Maybe just being a little bit busier, the crowd being behind her more than Lisboa, so that she, it seems like she's doing better, even if she's not. So I'm going to take Melissa Croden to win this fight, probably by decision. Next, we move to Azamat Bekoev versus Yousri Belgaroui. Now, Azamat is 20-3. He is 2-0 in the UFC. Both of his UFC wins coming by KO in the first round over Zachary Reese and most recently Ryan Loder. He is the minus about 300-ish favorite now, fighting Yousri Belgaroui. Yousri is 8-3. Says 1-1 there. He's not 1-1. He's making his UFC debut, but he is 1-1 on the Dana White's Contender Series, most recently beating Taiga Awasaki on the Contender Series by third round KO, and he's the plus 210 dog here. So Yousri is known for fighting Alex Pereira and Israel Adesanya in Glory Kickboxing. He's fought Pereira 3 times, and he's beat him once, lost twice, and he lost twice to Izzy. He trains with Pereira now in Glover over at in Connecticut, so he trains with them now. But I'm gonna pick Bekoev to win this fight. He's huge. He's taken the UFC by storm. He's a good personality too, and he has the performances in the octagon to back it up. Could be a very fun striking fight, but Bekoev could also take this fight to the ground if he needs to. And he might, I think if he fights smart, gets his takedowns, if maybe he can strike if he finds out he has the power and the ability to outstrike Yousri. I don't know. We'll see about that. But I think he can win anywhere, so I'm going to take Azamat Bekoev probably by maybe by finish, honestly. I'm not too sure how he's going to win, but I'm going to take him to win this fight for sure. So we'll move. Stephanie Luciano versus Ravena Oliveira. Stephanie Luciano is 6-2-1. She is 1-1 in the UFC and coming off a split decision loss to Sam Hughes, and she is the minus 300 favorite in this fight, going up against Ravena Oliveira. Oliveira is 7-2-1, 0-1 in the UFC, coming off a decision loss to Tainara Lisboa in her debut, and she is the plus 250 dog here. Luciano's loss to Sam Hughes isn't looking bad at all now, is it? Sam Hughes has proven to be very, very tough and tough to get out there and beat, especially by decision because she's so busy. And Tainara, on the other hand, isn't anything crazy to me. I'm picking her to lose the fight a couple fights before this. So I'm gonna take Luciano to win, probably by decision. But she's a huge favorite, so I don't think I'm gonna be putting anything on it there. We'll move. Kyle Prepolec versus Drew Dober. Prepolec is 18-9. He is 0-3 in the UFC, but he's 0-1 in this second stint, where he stepped in on short notice to fight Benoit Saint Denis in his most recent fight, and he lost by second round submission. He didn't look terrible in the first, though. I mean, it was a kind of a tough fight, right? He stepped in on very, very short notice and fought a dogfight in the first round, kind of. But he is another heavy underdog here against Drew Dober at plus 380. And Dober, on the other hand, is 27-15. He is 13-11 in the UFC. Very big UFC vet. But he has lost 4 of his last 5. Most recently KO'd by Manuel Torres. And he is the minus 500 favorite in this fight. These are very wide odds, but probably correct on skill and experience. Dober cracks. He's a decent fighter. Unfortunately, he's been losing a lot because his chin has been getting checked a lot recently. And that's why he's been losing. So this could be a win and stay in the UFC for both of them, honestly. And I probably trust Dober here. Both are 36 years old. Prepolec's second stint. Dober's been in the UFC for a long time. So I'm going to probably take Dober by KO here to just kind of run through. Actually, maybe by decision. Possibly Dober by decision. Prepolec seems to be tough. Benoit couldn't knock him out there. He took him down, subbed him there. So I think I'm going to take Dober by decision here, but definitely on his money line. We will move to the next fight of the evening, Danny Barlow and Jourdain Santos. Now, Danny Barlow is 9-1. He is 2-1 in the UFC, coming off first round KO loss to the surging Sam Patterson. And he is the minus 300 favorite here, fighting Jourdain Santos. Santos is 10-2. He's 0-1 in the UFC, coming off a decision loss to Ozzy Diaz. And he is the plus 250 dog here. Now, people say Ozzy Diaz isn't as bad as, everyone says he is, even because his record doesn't look terrible, but people say he's bad. And I don't know or people say he's not as bad as, everyone else thinks he is. I don't really believe it. I'm not an Ozzy Diaz fan in general. On the other hand, I think Sam Patterson is very, very good. He's proven, especially at this upper weight class, that he could do it, even though his stature and his lengthiness, I should say, his skinniness doesn't seem to be a problem yet at all. So give me Danny Barlow in this fight. Not sure if it'll be a finish or what, but Danny wins for me. Give me Danny Barlow to get back on track with a nice win. We will move to the next fight of the evening, Bruno Silva versus Hyun Park. Bruno Silva is 14-7-2. He is 4-4 in the UFC. He's on a 2-fight losing streak. Most recently, the KO loss to Joshua Van, who is now fighting for the title. And he is the plus 200 underdog in this fight, going up against Hyun Park. Park is 10-1. He is 3-1 in the UFC, coming off that round 2 submission loss to Tatsuro Taira, where he stepped in on short notice to be part of the main event. And he is the minus 250 favorite here. I'm taking Hyun Park here. Pretty confident, kind of. Silva's not bad. He's fought tough competition. He's coming off Joshua Van, who obviously is very, very good, fighting for the title next. But Park is looking for a nice bounce back win. He stepped in on short notice to fight Taira, got beat up, but I think he'll come in here, put the pressure on, or fight smart. I don't know, but I think he's going to put the pressure on. And I think he'll probably try to hunt down a finish here and get through Silva, to try to get himself back on a nice little win. Back in the nice win column. So I don't think it's easy, but give me Hyun Park. We will move to the next fight. Charles Jourdain versus Davey Grant. Now, Jourdain is 16-8-1. He is 7-7-1 in the UFC, coming off of a submission win against Victor Henry. He is the minus 170-ish favorite here, and he is fighting Davey Grant. Now, Grant is 17-7. And he has been on an unbelievable run recently. He's kind of a resurgence almost. He's won 4 of his last 5, most recently a decision against him on Blackshear where he was down 1-0, came back, won the last 2 rounds to win the fight, win a decision. But Grant, he's the plus 140 dog, but Grant is 39 years old. I can't believe what he's been doing recently. Honestly, just been dogging out wins, and he very well could do it again against Jourdain. But I'm going to take Jourdain here. I used to think Jourdain was very, very, very good. I had him beating John Silva a while ago. That did not go my way. I was very wrong in that fight. I hope I'm not here. I just don't think Jourdain will allow Grant to dog those last couple rounds like Blackshear did. His brother just got a UFC contract. I think he rides some type of high with that too, wins this fight. So give me Air Jourdain to win this fight. Not sure how yet. Maybe by decision. Davey Grant's been tough recently. We will move to the main card of the evening. We have Kyle Nelson versus Matt Steamroller Frevola. Now we have Kyle Nelson, who is 16-6-1. He is 4-5-1 in the UFC and coming off a first round KO loss to Steve Garcia. This fight's pretty even in odds, but Nelson's a slight underdog, and he is fighting Matt Frevola. Frevola is 11-5-1, 5-5-1 in the UFC, and on a two-fight skid, most recently a third round KO loss to Farestiam, and he is the slight favorite in this fight. I honestly don't have a strong thought on this fight. Both are good and not that good at the same time, if that makes sense. If I have to pick someone, I'm going with the Steamroller. I think he's more dangerous, fought better competition recently, but I don't think I'll have any bets on this one. Maybe fight doesn't go the distance, just violence. If it goes the distance and it's close, maybe they'll give it to Kyle Nelson as a home, the home crowd is louder with him. But I'm gonna pick Steamroller. Give me Matt Frevola. We will move to the next fight, Cody Gibson versus Aoriqileng. Excuse my pronunciation of that. Cody Gibson is 22-11. He is 3-6 in the UFC, and he's coming off his second round submission loss to Damon Blackshear. He's the minus 160 favorite going up against Aoriqileng. He is 25-11. He is 3-4 in the UFC, coming off a decision loss to Raul Rosas Jr., and he's the plus 140 dog here. I'm taking the Chinaman Aoriqileng in this fight, kind of off one weird reason that I don't like the tough fighters on that season. He lost to Brad Katona in that tough final, and I'm not a big. He hasn't been terrible since. He's 2-2 since, but I'm not a big fan of that tough season. The fighters on that season. And I'm probably not gonna bet it, but I'm taking the dog. So maybe a fight to go the distance. Give me Aoriqileng on the money line and fight to go the distance. We will move to a fight that matters a lot. Manon Fiorot versus Jasmine Jasudavicius. Manon Fiorot is 12-2. She is 7-1 in the UFC, coming off a decision loss in the championship fight against Valentina Shevchenko. And she is a heavy-ish minus 230 favorite in this fight, kind of more than I thought she would be. She is fighting Jasmine Jasudavicius. Jasudavicius is 14-3. She's 8-2 in the UFC. She is on a 5-fight winning streak. Most recently, a first-round submission win against Jessica Andrade, and she is the plus 190 dog here. Like I said earlier, this fight matters a lot. The winner could get a title shot or another one if it's Manon that wins. Um, but I think I'm gonna take Jasmine Jasudavicius to win this fight. Jasmine's kind of on a mission. She's working herself up on a nice win streak. I think she just wins this fight as a dog, earns herself a title shot. It's a huge, huge step up for her, don't get me wrong. But I think she's very, very good. I think she'll be more aggressive everywhere, even though Manon is very aggressive too. Like, this is no walk in the park for either of them. But give me Jasmine to just kind of be better, be busier. I don't know if she'll find a submission. I doubt it. But give me Jasmine on the money line here. We will move Marlon Chito Vera versus Aiemann Zahabi. Marlon Vera is 23-10-1 and 15-9 in the UFC. He's on a two-fight skid, most recently decision loss to Davison Figueiredo, who just showed he still has it last week. And he is the slight plus 105 dog in this fight, fighting Aiemann Zahabi. Zahabi is 13-2, 7-2 in the UFC, coming off a decision win against Jose Aldo. He's a slight minus 125 favorite here. This is a good one, a very good one. Zahabi was my dog of the card against Aldo, and although that was a very close fight, he did get the decision win there. Zahabi's a lot older, but he's on a tear right now. He's on a 6-fight win streak, and I really don't know who to pick in this fight. They're both kind of mid in a sense, but I'm picking Cheeto. I'm gonna pick Cheeto to win this fight, but I'm very afraid that he just won't be busy enough, and the crowd behind Zahabi, because he's from Canada, will be louder when he does something. Cheeto won't do enough, won't stay busy enough. Zahabi will mix in the takedowns and probably win a decision here. But I'm gonna pick Cheeto, but big caution, man. I'm gonna pick Cheeto Vera to win, but big caution because I think Zahabi has the ability to win this fight by decision for sure, by staying busier, getting the takedowns, and the Canadian crowd and the Canadian judges giving him that decision win. But we'll see. We will move to the co-main event of the evening, Kevin Holland versus Mike Malott. Kevin Holland is 28 and 14. He is 15 and 11 in the UFC, coming off a decision loss to Daniel Rodriguez. Mr. Unreliable is the slight plus 105 dog here, fighting Mike Malott. Malott is 12 and 2. He is 12 2 and 1. He is 5 and 1 in the UFC, coming off a second round KO win over Charles Radke. A slight minus 125 favorite here. I hate betting Kevin Holland fights. As I'm sure everyone will say, he is Mr. Unreliable. He's so good, but so bad when he gets frustrated. You know, when he's losing and he's getting frustrated, can't get off what he wants to get off. He'll start messing around and give up in a sense. And I hate that because he's very good. He's very talented. Um, he can get the finish wherever he wants. But I think Malott is going to be able to frustrate Holland. I don't know how he's going to win the fight, whether it's by finish or decision, probably decision. Holland's not the easiest guy to get out of there. So I'm going to take Malott by decision here to frustrate Kevin Holland, frustrate him, and kind of like D-Rod did, just him not allowing him to get off anything. So give me Mike Malott. We remove Rainier de Ritter versus Brendan Allen, the short notice main event. RDR, this was originally going to be RDR versus Fluffy and a possible title eliminator, but Fluffy pulled out and Allen has stepped in. So I don't know if it's still a title eliminator. Maybe if RDR runs through Brendan Allen, it will be, but I'm not too sure. RDR is 21 and 2. He is 4-0 in the UFC, coming off a split decision win over Robert Whitaker. That was an absolute war. And he is the minus 190 favorite in this fight, fighting Brendan Allen. Allen is 25 and 7. He is 13 and 4 in the UFC, coming off a decision win over Marvin Vettori, and he is the plus 125 dog here. This is a good one, even on short notice. RDR has been on a tear. I think he continues, and he wins this fight. He smoked Bo Nickel. He beat Whitaker in the absolute war. He's awkward like DDP, and he's very, very big. And I think he wins this fight. Give me RDR. I'm not too sure how. Probably not a finish. So probably RDR by a decision. But I think if he can win this fight convincingly, he may still get a title shot. So there's a lot of meaning for this fight in general. So give me RDR. Not too sure how yet. That was my UFC Vancouver De Ritter versus Allen breakdown. I hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you for watching. Adios.